by the way, I am going to start using a hashtag for all these videos. If you're on Facebook, I'm going to use hashtag manifestation mastery just because like that's what quantum leaping is all about, is really being a master manifester. Like you have to really be on your game to really be able to quantum leap. And I think it takes a certain level of skill and knowledge and wisdom to be able to quantum leap. So anyway, before we get into this video today, if this is your first time tuning into one of my videos, my name is Stef. I am the Psychic Soul Alignment Coach. Basically what I do is I work with spiritual people, spiritual entrepreneurs, to help them to do very deep levels of healing work, known as inner work, shadow work, inner child healing, in order to help them powerfully align with who they truly are on a soul level, on a higher self level. And as they achieve this greater alignment with who they are on the spiritual level, they're then able to much more easily navigate whatever life brings their way, and they're able to much more effortlessly and deliberately create their dream reality. So that's how I help people. Now, on my YouTube channel, because this video is going to go out to YouTube, but it's also going to be on Instagram. But on YouTube, I talk about manifestation, manifesting, that's the same thing, manifestation, mindset, healing, spiritual entrepreneurship, spiritual activism, my personal experiences, just anything I feel called to share on YouTube. So if that interests you, I have tons of content on YouTube. Go check me out on YouTube. You can find me as Stef Coaching, and subscribe to my channel, hit the bell notification button, and change your settings to all so that you never miss out on a video from me, because I just kind of show up whenever. So I wouldn't want you to miss out on any potential videos. If you're on Instagram, you can find all the videos that I've done on manifestation recently under the series titled All Things Manifestation. So go check that out. And I really hope that that helps you. So that's basically who I am and what I do. You can find me on all the social medias in terms of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as Stef Coaching. So if you're on YouTube, the links to all of that will be in the comments of this video, pinned to the top for you to click on, okay? So go check that out. But yeah, I'm really excited to be doing this video because I'm not sure if this is going to be the last video I do for this topic of manifestation at this time. But this was the last one that I had written down in terms of a topic I wanted to talk about that I think is really important to quantum leaping. So I'm really excited to get into it because this has been the most challenging part of quantum leaping for me. Again and again, as I've been able to quantum leap in so many different instances and circumstances in my life. So I'm really excited for this, okay? Oh, by the way, if you're on YouTube, there's a playlist on YouTube titled Manifestation 101 that has all these videos. So I will put that up here in the cards for you to go and click on that and check that out. And basically, let's get into today's video. So thank you so much for waiting on my long intro and spiel, all the things I had to say. But yeah, today's video is titled Getting Through the Transition Period When Quantum Leaping. So I'm really excited about talking about this. I've done a bunch of other videos this past week. I'll read some of the titles out for you right quick before we get into this. But I talked about forceful manifesting versus soul line manifesting last night. So that should be up on YouTube today or yesterday, whenever. It should be up on there. And you can go check that out. I really emphasize the difference between forceful manifesting and soul line manifesting and how that's been a journey for me and what that really looks like and means. Then I talked about as well the importance of feeling safe to receive and be able to quantum leap or receive any manifestation in general. So be sure to check that out. I talked about how 7 ways you're overthinking quantum leaping and making it far too difficult. And then why people struggle to detach from the outcomes, why some manifestation techniques don't work, and I think one more, but I can't remember the title. So these are some of the topics I've talked about. And in one of those videos, I can't remember which, but I mentioned the transition period. And the transition period is basically the part in quantum leaping specifically, okay? Because again, quantum leaping is when you're making like a radical jump in your reality, like something that you didn't think could happen or you struggled with being able to make happen, all of a sudden shows up and it just completely like alters your reality, alters your life, whatever it is, right? And so when you're making a quantum leap and you're shifting into a version of reality that's radically different from what you're accustomed to, you go through this thing called a transition period. And so basically the transition period is from transitioning from your old reality into your new reality, right? And now when you are actively manifesting and you're actively wanting to quantum leap, So you're doing certain practices, certain inner work to align with that desire. What happens is that as you go through this transition period, sometimes you will have challenges. Because there are people that are able to quantum leap effortlessly because they have no attachment, and they just kind of put a desire to be like, oh, I would like to make this amount of money, or to have this vacation, or whatever it is, like something that blows their mind, but they're not too attached to it, and they're not like necessarily like doing all this inner work to align with it. And so because they're not super attached to the outcome, and they don't have any particular maybe resistance to work through or whatever it is, they're just able to effortlessly jump into that reality and like manifest it in their lives, right? But for those of us who are intentionally and deliberately creating our lives, because we are consciously creating our lives and wanting to do this because it's important to us, because this is like the path that we want to move down, right? Especially for business owners, like as business owners, we set business goals, right? We're like, okay, you know what, this month or this quarter or this year, I want to make this amount, or I want to help these many people, or I want to be able to do these things, right? And so because we are intentionally and deliberately creating realities, sometimes we become attached and then we have to go about the process of doing all this inner work to align. And so for this group of people who we are consciously, deliberately creating our realities and we're working towards it, we have to do the inner work and things like that. And so when we hit this transition period, it's the period where we are shifting away from our old reality, stepping into the new. But in that period, there is sometimes a bit of a lag. Sometimes things feel like they're not moving at all. Sometimes it feels like your old patterns are trying to drag you back into the old fears, beliefs, the scarcity, whatever it is. And so this is the period that you're going through in which you really have to decide, like, are you going to stick to the old, or are you going to move into the new, and whether you allow yourself to get tripped up in that period, or whether you hold strong and faithfully to the vision of who you are, who you know yourself to be, your life, the way that you desire it, and you continue to move forward in this way unwaveringly, if that's a word. And so this is the part where a lot of times people crack under pressure. Let me tell you, I was such a person. I would crack under pressure so much when I would hit this period, and like I could feel my manifestations around me, could totally sense it. I knew it to a certain extent. Like I knew, like, no, I'm supposed to get this. Like I know that this is supposed to work out, or whatever, but I didn't fully hold strong to the version of myself I require to be in order to achieve that outcome. I would just like end up falling back into fear, or allow my emotions to get the best of me, or allow my mindset to trip me up again, or whatever it was. And I would heavy again, and then like, oh, it's all lost. Like, why do I even bother? this and that. Have you ever seen Toy Story, where Buzz Lightyear, the first movie, and Buzz Lightyear goes into Sid's house and he gets injured at some point, and he feels like, what's the point? Like he breaks his arm or something, and they dress him up as Ms. Nesbit, and Woody goes to talk to him, and he's like, Buzz, are you okay? And he's like, gone, it's all gone, or something like that. And he's just, having a pity party or whatever. He's like, what's the point? Like I would totally be like Buzz at some point. Let me know if you know this Toy Story reference, because if you do, you're my friend. But yeah, this is what would happen is I would hit that transition period and it would just trip me up, because what happens is these transition periods are actually intended to assist you in purging that last bit of your old self in order to step into the new. But as you're going through the process of purging the old self, that just sometimes becomes overwhelming in many different ways, and maybe in terms of your mindset, in terms of the emotions coming up in your body, in terms of how the energy is affecting you, or whatever it is, just so many different things. And so this is the part where a lot of people fail to really hold strong to who they really are in terms of being themselves in the version of reality that they wish to be in. as all of this other stuff is happening. And the transition period plays out differently for everyone depending on like where you're at in your journey, what you're meant to be doing and achieving, like just certain soul lessons and growth and experiences that you're intended to have, because it's not always going to play out in the same way for everyone. And even for you, as you go through the transition period again and again, like it might be slightly different each and every single time depending on what you're intended to move through in that instance, right? This is like what I teach is soul growth and lessons and like what you're really needed to learn and integrate from that experience, etc. And so it can look slightly different even for that same person from quantum leap to quantum leap, because it's what they might need in the moment. You know, like what they might need in the moment for one quantum leap might be different from what they might need in the moment for another quantum leap, and so on. And so they have to work through certain things. So it just depends. And the reason for the transition period being different for people in general, depending on where they're at, or even for the same person from quantum leap to quantum leap, is because, like I've said in previous videos, I think I talked about this a little bit in forceful manifesting versus soul line manifesting yesterday, where it's like when things are working out for your highest good, source energy is helping take you down the path that is truly for your highest good and is meant to stretch you in certain ways that you need, or to take you down a certain path that is important to your soul's journey here on earth. And so, you know, in that first quantum leap, potentially, because of where you're at in terms of your soul's growth and experiences that you've lived out in life and what you're needing to play out in that moment, to continue to grow from it and expand from it, like you might be challenged, I guess, in certain ways. I don't know if that's the best word, but that's the best word I can come up with. You might be challenged in certain ways in that first quantum leap, because that's relevant to like where you're at. It's kind of like in school when you are taking a test, for example, right? You're not going to be like a 5th grader taking a 12th grader's test in any subject, right? You're going to take the test that's relevant and appropriate for your level of understanding of education of where you're at, right? And so it's kind of like that. It's, you know, as you grow and you expand and you become more empowered, you become more aligned with your truth, the transition period is going to play out differently for you in order for you to have certain understandings, integrate certain teachings, soul lessons, whatever it is, as you move through. And, you know, this is constantly like we're in constant expansion. We're in constant like evolution and growth. And so as we move forward, it's going to like, quote unquote, get a little bit tougher, right? Because we're growing. If it didn't become, you know, slightly more difficult, then we wouldn't be growing, right? And I know like this has been such a concept for me to learn to have peace with, because if you watched the video that I did on, what was it called? Overthinking quantum leaping. I mentioned in that video, 7 ways you're overthinking quantum leaping, how one of the things that can trip you up from quantum leaping and making it so much more effortless and just easy for you is conflicting spiritual beliefs. Like your conflicting spiritual beliefs can trip you up from being able to manifest your desires in quantum leap, right? And I have examples and stuff like that there, so go check that out. But yeah, for me, in terms of my spiritual journey, how it's unfolded and how I've figured out my own soul's truth and stuff, is like there was a period in time where I was aligned with believing like, okay, the universe does give certain tests and challenges, you know, for me to grow. And I was aligned with that. And then I shifted away from that a little bit and was like, no, the universe doesn't test me, doesn't hurt me, and doesn't want bad things for me or whatever, like isn't trying to like, you know, do this to me, and like shifted away from that. And then somewhere along the way, I found balance between these conflicting spiritual beliefs. And so today, the way that I can explain it best to you, and please take what resonates from my content and leave what doesn't, because you're on your own journey and you're here to discover your own truth and what is truth for you, what isn't. But what I've come to understand in my own journey to find balance between these things is that there are going to be challenges or tests. There is going to be some sort of friction involved, because this is how we grow. Just in the same way as when you're trying to build muscle, right? And I say this because I'm into fitness. When you try to build these muscles, you're constantly going to gradually increase the weight of the weights that you're lifting, because that challenges your body to be able to use more of its strength and to develop more strength. And as you lift these weights, that challenge your body, like as your muscle goes through that process, like the muscle breaks down, but then it grows back stronger and stronger each and every time. And this is how you build muscle. But you won't be able to create those tears in the muscles in order to build that muscle again and again. It becomes stronger and stronger if you didn't add those weights incrementally. So the weight, the challenge, the pressure, whatever, it has to show up in order for us to grow and become stronger, become more empowered, become more aligned with our truth. This is just the way it is. Okay? This is my truth, at least. This is what I've come to understand. And so with quantum leaping, in my experience at least, because I'm here for soul growth, and quantum leaping, that transition period is not going to play out the same way every single time. There's going to be certain things that I have to integrate and release. And so because every time I went through the transition period, I would see the transition period would trip up my ego brain a lot and the scarcity a lot in one instance. And then the next time around, it would trip up a major doubt and fear in my spiritual truth, my beliefs around God, the higher power supporting me, assisting me. And then it would trip me up there. And then and the next time around, it would trip me up in terms of my own self-belief or whatever it was. And so each single time, it helped me to work through things that I needed to work through to finally be able to achieve a state where I could then finally have peace, calm, certainty, and knowing in my success, and knowing I'm going to quantum leap successfully this time. This is what's happening. There's no more doubt, there's no more fear, there's no more scarcity, there's no more of this anymore. It's my soul aligned truth, and I can now much more effortlessly step into that version of myself, be that version of myself throughout the process, and not waver anymore. And so it's been a journey, but it's been valuable and powerful and absolutely liberating, because that's part of what the transition period also does, is it literally liberates you from the constraints of who you thought yourself to be and what you thought was possible, and all of your just low density, fear-based stuff that you're ready to let go of on a soul level, but that your ego is trying to keep you attached to. And when you take yourself through that process successfully, you finally feel free, you feel strong, you feel empowered, you feel successful, you feel like you can do anything, you feel like you're on top of the world, and it's the best feeling ever. So this is what I wanted to talk about today in terms of the getting through the transition period. It is a journey, it is a process. It's not always going to play out in the same way. It depends on so many different factors, but at the end of the day, what the transition period is really all about is about giving you the opportunity to see how strong and firm you are in what you say you want and who you say you are, right? And so your old mindset, your old way of being, you're going to not be able to align with the quantum reality you wish to step into. You're going to continue to potentially remain in the reality you've been in, because that's what you're a match for. If that's who you're being, that's what you're going to get, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, each process teaches you so much, and it's so valuable and worthy, and you get better and better and better through each and every single one. But this is what it is, right? So this is manifestation mastery, basically, is being able to really be such master of yourself, of what goes on within you, that you don't get tripped up in the transition period, and you hold strong to what you know is yours. Happen, and then it just does. You just manifest, you just quantum leap into an amazing version of reality. And so there's like a number of ways in which I've been able to do this for myself besides money. Maybe those of you watching are more interested in the money aspect, but I think that, there's just, you can apply this to anything, and there's just so much more. And I've already discussed in previous videos how I basically healed myself from a very bad tailbone injury a few years ago over a weekend, how I helped a client manifest, over $50,000 in the course of 2 days, which is basically a weekend. I was able to also quantum leap out of getting deported from Colombia. That was crazy. But this was last year, early 2020. Long story short, I overstayed in Colombia as per the guidance of my guides. They said nothing was going to happen to me. Lo and behold, I even went to immigration. They told me nothing serious is going to happen. I get to immigration at the airport, coming back to Peru. And I had only overstayed by a month. And when I get to immigration in the airport, they tell me that I run the risk of getting deported and banned from the country from anywhere to 5, 10 years, and then maybe 15 years. And then I was like, what? I overstayed by a month and y'all are trying to ban me for forever, basically. Anyway, I did my things that I do, did some inner work, I did some visualization work. I became very strong in what I knew was going to happen, which was I had been told I wasn't going to get in trouble by my guides. I trusted my guides, and I held no attachment, whatever. I did the things, and then lo and behold, the person who was at the immigration office, asking me all these questions and stuff and trying to see more about my story, whatever, they let me go. They let me go without being deported. They let me go with my free will, whatever, right? And so that's how I manifested that, all in the airport within a few hours. Could have gone the other way. So, and then what else? I manifested just trips, certain trips as well. I remember a few years ago, I was going through a difficult time, and I was just, learning to surrender and trust and believe and align with joy and just all these different things. And as I did that, I just kept aligning with joy. And you know what? Interestingly enough, a few days later, I think even just 3 days, it was really fast. This was back in 2017, so it's been a minute. But yeah, it's really interesting how even just within a few days, I got a message from a friend inviting me to go and travel with them to Costa Rica for a couple of weeks, all expenses paid. And, had everything paid. I think the trip was worth $3,000 probably. 2 or 3, I can't remember anymore. And I got to scuba dive, I got to snorkel, I got to just go to amazing places, do awesome things. It was my first real vacation ever. And that was unexpected. I had never intended to go to Costa Rica. That wasn't on my radar or anything. But all of a sudden, from basically almost from one day to the next, it was a few days. But, all of a sudden there was this plan to go to Costa Rica, and, the flight was paid and I was scheduled to go, and I was going to be able to explore Costa Rica in a private car and just go wherever and do whatever, and for 2 weeks. And on top of that, I stayed an extra week and I traveled on my own, and I got to do more awesome things, right? And so I think I spent New Year's there, if I remember well. I spent New Year's in Costa Rica. And so, yeah, it just all worked out, I had never expected for me to have such an amazing trip, but then it just happened when you really align. That example of the Costa Rica trip is what I mentioned earlier with the transition period, and how some people, when they're just totally not attached and they're just doing, the minimal things that they have to be doing, it just shows up. That was the perfect example of that right now. I just had nothing in mind. I was just aligning with joy, and God was like, here you go, more joy for you. Go see the amazing critters in the water, enjoy yourself. And it was amazing. Costa Rica has amazing ocean life, let me tell you. The corals, the animals are just so beautiful. I saw sharks. It was amazing. And so that's, what can happen when you quantum leap. Other things that I've been able to quantum leap around have been through, just as I discussed in a previous video, I believe, like I got into Europe when I didn't think I would be able to, because yeah, you know, it was just like, it's a long story, but I basically, to fast forward to the part that matters, I was afraid that once I flew from Peru to France that they weren't going to let me in because I didn't have all these other things that they usually require people from Peru to have. And I didn't have those things, and everyone else that was flying from Peru had all those things. So I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be the only one that doesn't have it. Crap, I'm gonna get sent back. They're not gonna let me in the country, and I have to get in this country because I've already paid for this retreat and I paid all this money to get on this plane and all this other stuff. And then yeah, you know, I was like freaking out about it. I did the inner work. It was like really, really important to me, right? It was really important for me to get to this place in France. Like, I had paid thousands of dollars for a retreat, okay, and I had paid thousands of dollars for a flight. So this was really important to me. I needed to get my butt over there, and I did my inner work, right? I, you know, did my best to trust in the process, surrender, or whatever at the time with what I knew. And anyway, lo and behold, I basically swooned the immigration officer in France with my French. I was like talking to him in French, telling him all these things. He was impressed. He didn't even ask me for anything. He just stamped my stuff and let me go about my business. And I got through. And it could have been, you know, it could have all gone completely differently, right? I could have stepped into a reality in which my worst fears would have become a reality and I would have gotten sent back. But because, you know, I was willing to do my part to align with my desire, I shifted into that, and I was able to get in and attend the retreat and move forward with my life, right? And that's manifestation mastery right there. When the things that you really want, that you're attached to, but you really do your best to detach from the situation, especially like in important circumstances like that. Like, you're at the airport not knowing if they're going to let you in this country or not, and that you might get sent back and you might have basically thrown almost $5,000 down the drain. Like, that's a big deal, right? That's where most people will get tripped up. That's that transition period I was talking about. I was going through it live in the airport and twice already. I always go through these things at the airport because y'all already know, if you've been following my stories, I have issues with immigration. Well, I had. We're not shifting into the more timelines with issues with immigration anymore. We're shifting out of that. You can go watch my video that I did on what I learned about manifesting my move back to the US. I'll put it up here for you to go check that out so you know the whole story. But, you know, like, live in the airport is where I manifested that quantum leap into being able to get into France, no problem, and attend my retreat when it could have gone otherwise. But I was, you know, skilled enough in my manifestation abilities to like work through my stuff to really just align with the outcome that I wanted, which was to attend this retreat. And so, you know, these are just different ways that, you know, quantum leaping can play out, and how the transition period can trip you up as you're going through that process, and like the magical miracles that can just unfold as a result of you just choosing to hold firm to what you know and who you are and all these things, but without being attached. And it takes a bit of a practice, like I've said. Like, so anyway, that's my whole story. I really hope that this has helped you. If you're joining me late on Facebook, please go back and watch the replay. Let me know that you caught the replay here on Facebook. If you're watching on Instagram or YouTube, let me know that you caught this video in the comments below. Let me know what you thought. If you have any questions, insights, comments, I would love to hear from you. And if you would love support with your own quantum leaps, if you would love to really understand what it really takes to actually be able to become a master manifester and to quantum leap through your reality, and to do it with so much more grace, so that you're not getting tripped up anymore when you're going through these transition periods. Because like I said, these transition periods, they will trip you up differently depending on like who you are, what you're here to learn and work through at this time, etc., etc. And people usually get tripped up, and because they get tripped up, that's where the blessings, the manifestations, they get delayed, they get, you know, pushed back a little bit. Doesn't mean they're not going to happen. It just means they get pushed back a little bit, giving you time to work through those things to finally line up with what you want. And, you know, if you don't necessarily like want to go through all of this stuff, all of this time, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that if that's you, you know. But if there's a way for you to, you know, cut that journey short to only the necessary portions of it, you know, instead of like dragging it out, then that's what I'm going to be teaching you in Next Level Manifesting, okay? because I know that if I had had someone explain to me this process of getting through the transition period and how exactly it can play out and show up for you in different specific situations and things like that, like it would have made my journey so much easier. It would have made those transition periods so much easier, because I would know what to expect. I would know how to handle it. I would know like what I need to do to like really not waver anymore and be strong to be able to jump into that, version of reality that I wanted, etc. And it would have just helped me to, save tons of time and energy and emotional stress this whole time, but I didn't have that. But luckily for you, those of you joining me in Next Level Manifesting, you will be given this information and the support, and I will help you to navigate all of these different things that are required for you to powerfully align with your desires and to become I can't speak right now, to become a master manifester and to be able to effectively quantum leap again and again and again with so much more ease and grace, instead of having it be all chaotic or difficult on you or whatever else, right? So that's what I'm going to be helping you with in Next Level Manifesting. For more information on Next Level Manifesting, reach out to me. If you're on YouTube, I will put the link that has the information on it on Facebook in the comments of this video. It will be pinned to the top, as well as all my social media things. It will be all in one comment on YouTube, and you can go click on that to see the information on the program. The payment plan's available. It's going to be absolutely epic. Like, anyone who works with me is always going to just have massive returns as a result of the deep inner work that we do, the deep mindset work that we do, the deep spiritual growth work that we do. It's going to be absolutely transformational. So if this is something that really speaks to you, if you're ready to break free from certain struggles or cycles that you've been going through, if you're ready to really step powerfully into that version of reality that you wish to really align with, because it's your time, you're ready for this is something that you feel like you've been waiting on forever, then come join me in Next Level Manifesting, because this is where I'm going to help you really be that version of you, really step into who you really are, so that you can show up confidently and knowingly, and just be so certain that your manifestations are going to show up and that you're aligning with them in the best possible way, in a way that's really truly in alignment with your soul, your higher self, and the divine, right? And so that's what we're going to be learning through Next Level Manifesting. I'm really excited. It's a 12-week program. I will put up here the link to the video on YouTube that has more information on that. And you can, read the post as well on Facebook that has more information on that as well. It's on my Facebook page. And that's basically it. So thank you so much for your time. I really hope that this was of tremendous value to you. I can't wait to see those of you who are joining me in Next Level Manifesting, and how radically different your lives, your businesses, your well-being is going to be by the end of the 12 weeks, because it's going to be absolutely mind-blowing, and you're going to really be able to understand for yourselves that the only person or the only thing really getting in the way of you having the life that you want, of having the results that you wanted, was just you. And I'm not trying to blame you. I'm just really trying to help you know and understand, like, the power was within you all along, but you were making it hard. And the reason I say that is because I had that revelation, what is wrong with me? I can't talk right now. Is there something happening with the communication, Mercury and Aquarius or something? Anyway, so yeah, it's absolutely amazing when you really have this real greater understanding of the fact that it's like, wow, like, I could have been past this by now, but I kept getting in my own way. And like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. We've learned, we're moving forward, right? And so this is what we're going to be doing in Next Level Manifesting, is really helping you to learn, to really understand that you have the power to have the life that you want, that you are worthy and deserving of the life that you want now, but that you really have to shift yourself into that version of yourself that really knows that to be true and believes that to be true, feels that to be true, and shows up in a way that it's true. Like, you show up in a way where like, no, this is my life, right? Because I think the mistake that a lot of people make is that they think that, like, once they have the dream house, once they have the dream body, the dream partner, the dream business or whatever, then they can finally feel successful, impactful, wealthy, whatever it is, and they can really believe these things about themselves. They can really feel like powerful leaders, whatever it is, right? And that's not the way it is. The way it is you have to be that first. Really be like on all the levels of your being. Really be that first, in spite of the circumstances, in spite of reality and how reality might be tripping you up as you're transitioning and all that stuff. You have to really be. And once you really be and you hold that firmly, consistently, reality will give and you will quantum leap. And so this is what we're going to be doing in Next Level Manifesting. So I'm really excited. Let me know if you have questions. Can't wait to see you there. And that's basically it. Thank you so much for your time. If you know of anyone who would get so much value out of this video, please share this video out with them. And like I said, I think this is my last video, but you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'll be doing posts. If I feel inspired to do any more videos on manifesting, then you will see them online. But this is the last video officially for the manifestation videos that I've been doing this last week or so, right? On manifestation mastery and quantum leaping. All right. So thank you so much for your time. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.